busy today reorganizing our entire web studio setup. So we are actually beginning to use new cameras and move everything from before we had kind of arranged right next to each other, right behind the cameras, to actually beginning to migrate all the equipment to the control room, which also meant recabling everything. So we have been a little busy today. I apologize. That kind of accounted for the half-hour delay as we got everything back to working order. So hopefully everything's coming through loud and clear. The new setup, everything got moved and everything got replugged into the right places. So please let us know if you're experiencing any issues with the quality of this broadcast, or if there's anything new where we've changed cameras, we've swapped out different cables and different things. So again, this is the first test run of that new setup, and we may be refining things as we go along. So bear with us. Apologize again if you experienced that delay, but we will be coming to you live every week, just like we do on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Today is ScreenFlow Live, and we focus specifically on our application for the Mac, which is screencasting and video editing software for Mac, and has been around for a while. Hopefully you've tuned in before and seen some of the power tips that we've offered, and we've got lots more stuff like that coming up, as well as more interviews with power users and people that have been using ScreenFlow, how they use it, why they use it, and so forth, as well as other types of workflows that you may not be familiar with, as well as power tips. The topic for today, as I want to pull up this live broadcast. Hold on. Topic for today is using iOS devices. So using ScreenFlow to capture iOS phones and iPads and so forth, and making tutorials, whether you're a game designer, whether you're an app designer, or whether you're just trying to show somebody something on an iOS device. ScreenFlow has you covered there. It's a really handy tool as far as that goes, and it is one of the ways that I like to capture any screen from the iOS family and bring it in and make a tutorial or a game video or something like that. We do have a couple of iOS apps in-house that we use. We use ScreenFlow to capture all that and record any of the tutorials or demonstrations of those apps. So it's a really useful tool for that. And today we're going to dive into it and show you how that works. Please leave a comment or question in the comments page on the right or left, or just below if you're watching on the Facebook homepage, and we'll be sure to answer those as we go along. Alrighty, so I'd like to get started by just diving right in and showing you how this works. How do you first start by capturing your iOS device? The first thing you need to do, and most important, is you've got to plug it in. So use one of these lightning cables that came with your device, your charging cable. It's also your data cable that connects it. On the other end should be a USB plug that plugs into your computer. The old 30-pin connectors, the really wide ones from iOS, older iPads and iPods and so forth, won't work. This really only works with lightning-powered devices and iOS 8 or later. When Apple released this feature and ScreenFlow was able to take advantage of it, it was when OS 10, I believe Yosemite came out. So that was, or at least when iOS 8 and later came out. So use that and use this cable. You need to have this in order to bring it into your computer and have ScreenFlow capture it. The next thing you need to be aware of is that every time you plug in your phone into your computer, the computer or the phone's actually going to ask you, do you trust this computer? A little pop-up message is going to come up on the screen and ask you, trust this computer or not trust this computer. So make sure that you watch for that. If you miss it or you hit don't trust by accident, then ScreenFlow cannot see the iOS device, cannot record anything off of it. So you need to create that sort of trust between the two devices, your computer and the iOS device, in order to use this feature. If for some reason you're not getting that, or it's not popping up, then I recommend going into your settings on the iPhone and resetting some of either your network settings or some of the other settings on there, and that generally resets the phone or the iOS device to a default state, and then when you plug it back into a computer, it should ask the question, do you want to trust this computer? And once you hit yes, you're okay to go. All right, so that covers kind of the basics as far as getting the preliminary setup going. Next, I'd like to show you what it looks like when you open ScreenFlow. So we're going to open ScreenFlow here. And right here on the welcome window, you can see that on the second page down, that's where you're going to configure your recordings. And you're basically, so from that, you're going to want to configure that device. And what I'm actually wondering is if you do have any problems with this broadcast, please let us know. Or if there's any audio or video sync issues, we would like to know that. So leave a comment because, again, we've rerouted some things, used some newer technologies and newer cables. So if you are having any issues with audio video sync, let us know right away. All right. I'm going to continue on, though. So what you want to do is once you've opened ScreenFlow and you've basically gone to this menu on the second page, this is where you configure your recording. You should be able to see your iOS device pop up on the screen. If for some reason this is grayed out and you don't see any devices, even if you click on this or if you can't click on it, then it's telling you that the handshake has not yet occurred between the device and the computer, and you need to either replug it in or try again, maybe even restarting the computer. It just depends on getting it to work. But eventually, when you make sure that the two have that trust, that handshake, that trust, then that should show up as a selectable option or a recording device. You can see you can also record it in conjunction with any of the other devices that ScreenFlow allows you to record. So we could record from our desktop here. We could record from the iPhone or any other iOS devices I happen to have plugged in. Only one at a time, one screen at a time, one device at a time, even if you have multiple ones plugged in or connected to the computer. And the same is true for audio and so forth. So that is the overall gist of how ScreenFlow is going to see the iPhone. Once you've selected what you're going to record, in this case I'm just going to record the iPhone, and I will probably not record computer audio at this point. And I'm pretty much ready. The last thing I want to do, and I recommend you do as well, is I'm going to go up to this the show recording monitor window. ScreenFlow, when it's open, will appear in your menu bar as this little camera icon. It's a quick access menu that basically does two things. It notifies you that the application is currently open. It also gives you a status of what it's currently doing. In this case, it's just open. There's no red record dot there. There's no pause button that shows you that you're in the middle of a recording that's paused. The other thing it does is allow you quick access to some tools that you might use during your screen recording or screencasting process. So hit the show recording monitor, and that's going to pop up this window that we've talked about in a couple other past shows here. And once you pop that up, you've got some options. By checking the record screen from iPhone, you should see your iPhone's audio now available for listening on your headphones. So by turning up this volume monitor right here, you can see that the iPhone's currently got some volume. It's currently sending some sound there. Let's turn that up and see if we can hear the audio. So go ahead, preview. And I'm going to turn it up here on my device. And you should be able to hear any of the audio through the preview window there by checking that. And if you can't hear it, then I apologize. That may be because we've got a volume control thing here. So when we turn that up, basically that allows you to hear the audio while you're playing the video. Okay, or while you're using the device or operating the device. And what I might do here is I might quit out of ScreenFlow real fast. Let's just relaunch that. I want to see if I can get the audio to pull up so you can hear that. Show recording monitor. Hit OK. And that should pull that up. And if you hear the audio right there. Okay, well, at this point, it's decided it's not going to play for me through my headphones. And that could be because we're routing the audio a couple different ways. But let me try this again. Turn this up. I'm going to pull up the device itself and reopen the application with the audio. If you're seeing the green VU meters jumping up and down, that means you are getting audio and ScreenFlow is sensing it. So that's a good thing. If for some reason you're having trouble where the audio cuts in or out and you're not hearing it, don't worry. It's actually that simple. I just had my audio muted on my computer. I think I did that because I was pulling up the Facebook Live feed. All right, so now you should be able to hear the audio. I'm going to turn it up, and this application is getting or receiving audio. And so ScreenFlow, so we're good to go there. And that basically will allow you to go through the, operate the app while hearing the audio at whatever level you want. And so you should be able to hear this audio as well as I turn it up. I'm going to turn it up for a little bit and do a quick recording. And here we go. All right. So the recording has started. I'm going to hit play. I'm going to jump. I'm operating a worm in this game. Oh, not very well. And then you get 3 hits and you're done. I'm going to stop the recording. And that's going to pull it up right there. Okay, so here we go. If we watch this back, turn off audio scrubbing. Let's watch it. One thing that the iPhones like to do and iPods is they like to launch natively the iOS applications. So you can usually get rid of that by going into your preferences, and you can I believe in here you can set whether or not you want certain applications to launch. So maybe in your preferences for that, it may be in your system preferences. I have to dig and find it again. Could be under general. There's a place where you can turn that off so that it doesn't automatically launch those applications, which can get frustrating. So turn that off if you don't want the phone to automatically do that every time. So here's the beginning. We hit play. And we jump over, and then that's the end, right? So you can see 4 is the best we got, and I've done a lot better. In the past, we've got 43. I've played this game a little bit too much, maybe. And so what I want to do first is start by maybe just cutting the first part off. And you can see right about here, at this point in the timeline, I press the play button. Okay, so one thing ScreenFlow is not going to do is it can't tell where your finger is. It doesn't keep a tracking anything. There's no data that Apple allows for that to be recorded, for that data to be recorded. All we can do is tell by the visual cues on the screen where your fingers are touching and what you're operating on the apps themselves. We have some cool tools in ScreenFlow that allow you to mimic that as if, so people can visually see on the screen where your fingers or where your hands are. But you have to add those in after the fact. There's no way to just, like with your mouse, know where it is at all times, where your fingers are touching all times. You have to do it manually, following the cues that are in the recording. So that's the first kind of interaction that you'll see in this clip. Next, you'll see I've got, every time I make the worm jump, that's another time that I've touched the screen. And sometimes I'm wrong, and sometimes I'm right. So we can add and to mimic these sort of fake touches or fake mimic screen gestures are called touch callouts in ScreenFlow. And we have a whole set of them that are already added to the app, which make it really easy for you to control what's going on screen and to show, or actually to pretend like you're controlling what's going on the screen in the ScreenFlow recording. So let's look at that for a second. So right there is about where I get started. We'll just cut it right there. I'm going to use my T key to delete that and bring that back to the beginning. I'm going to zoom out here so we can kind of see what's going on. And so the first thing, as I mentioned, that's the first time I touch the screen, which is I just tap the play button. So let's add a touch call out right there, and start by mimicking that gesture. So the first thing we want to do is highlight our clip and highlight approximately where we want that action to go. Right there looks okay, right at the beginning. And we can add a touch call out just by going to the Actions menu up here. And there's a bunch of different, you can add actions and so forth, but a touch call out is going to add that specific type of action. This handy message shows up. It gives you some tips. So once we've added the touch call out, you can see we get a box right there. And all I want to do is, you can see when we're hovering over this with the mouse, there's this kind of gray circle there, and we can move it around wherever we want. So if we want to grab it, oops, hold on. I'm going to move to the end here. And if we move that, hold on, I'm going to go back to the touch callout area here. Undo. We're going to delete that real fast. Show start end states. I don't want any start or end states. We just want the touch callout itself to be here. And there, now you can move it and grab it. What you see here is this little circle, this little kind of plus sign in the middle of the touch callout. But you should be able to drag anywhere on there and move it around. So we need to move this back to the beginning state. We can move back a little bit further. Right there. We're going to move this over to the play button. Okay? By default, touch callouts are this gray color, which can work just fine if you like. I also don't want this thing to be very long because I just tap it, right? So, it should be off the screen by the time, the fade button is disappearing, or the play button is disappearing off screen. So if we just play that back, so what we might want to do is even zoom out a little bit, add a little more time so people have a chance to settle in before we activate the play button. Okay, so that looks like timing-wise, it's just about right. We might even do, make it a little slower and play that back. What I want to do, though, is maybe a couple things to this. First of all, I'm not sure I like the color very much. We can play with that. We can make it, I like to make it a little bit lighter. Maybe a lighter type of gray. But you can certainly, maybe even lighter than that. Okay, we'll go all the way white on that. You've also got the option for outlining it. So that's up to you, how you want to color them. For my case, I don't really feel the need to add the outline, but it is an option for you guys. So up here in the properties boxes, you can set all that. You can choose the color up here of the callouts. So I basically set mine to white. Another neat thing you can do is set the size. That is a little large. Let's just bring that down to about 100 pixels or so. Okay, now we've got our white callout. It's about 100 pixels in diameter. And we're in pretty good shape there. And so now we've got this thing where I jump here. And we can add a marker if we want to the clip. So if we go to add a marker, which is just the, looks like shortcut is the comma key. You can just mark the clip there. Shift Z. And we're going to, right when I jump here, we're going to hit that guy. And I want to mark the clip right there. Go to marker, insert. So we can do first jump. Hit create there, and that just marks that part of the timeline. We can do another one where we got, basically we've got several actions here. So we've got another one right here. So we need to mark that. And I believe these are each jumps. So we're going to do a jump and a jump. And this, I kind of do a late go under. So this is a dive, I guess you could say, instead of a jump. So we can mark that. And hold on, go right here. Dive. And you can go through a couple others. Here's another dive as well. So just go through, mark anything where you know you're going to add some actions. It can be helpful to keep track of where you're going to be adding them. Then you'll know exactly what you want to do at each one. Okay, and I'm just, I'm not going to mark the rest of these, but you get the idea there. So we have 4 markers set out here. There could be more depending. And again, it depends on how long your clip is, how many actions you actually want to demonstrate. The nice thing is once you get, certain apps tend to have similar actions and controls, so that once you've made an action the way you want it, you can kind of keep using it again and again. It's pretty easy to use. So first thing we're going to do is we have this jump action here. So we're going to go over, again, go to our touch callouts. We're going to add an action. And in this case, what we want to do, actually, hold on. What we really want to do is we're going to go up to the actions, and we want to go to templates. And at this point, we're actually, instead of creating just a brand new action, editing it all ourselves, we're going to pull from the library of actions that we've already created for you guys, because there's a lot of things that you do on iPads, iPhones, iOS devices that you do over and over again. So the first thing you're going to do is pull this in. You're going to go up to the actions menu and just look at the templates there. And you can see on this really handy list that there's a bunch of different ones that you're probably going to use. So in order to jump on this device, I need to pinch, I believe is what we want. So we want to do a 2-finger pinch action. And in this case, the zoom in or zoom out would be what we want. So in this case, I want the zoom out because I believe that's for pinching. I'm going to do a zoom out. And you can see here, hold on, that by the end, we're going to need to show the start and end points. And we're going to need to move them around a little bit. So the way that ScreenFlow does this is it has 2 actions. So if we watch this, you'll see, actually, let me do it this way. You've got basically a beginning and an end point. And I believe the plus is where it begins, and the end is where it is the circle button. So here we go. So got this super slow pinch zoom in. I've already gone through, so it's way too fast, right? But you can see it starts way out, and then it, if we watch here, zooms in. And actually, that's not what I want because he's doing a jump. I want the opposite. So instead of a zoom out, we want a zoom in. So we're going to change that type. And delete that, and we will just add a action. We're going to make it the zoom, hold on, just so I got this, a zoom in. All right, so now if we watch, there we go. So what we really need to do is we need to set the beginning and end points. We're going to do, the beginning is here. and the ending would be there. And so basically, beginning is the plus button. You can move that around wherever you like. You could have them begin and end at totally different spots. So if we see how that looks, they're going to kind of go in this circular pattern, which you don't really want. At least most people don't necessarily do, unless there's a particular type of way you're operating your device. So in our case, let's do the end. Let's move them around. By clicking on this, it highlights it yellow. It makes the rest of your timeline go dark. And then you're really just working with these in and out points of your touch callout. So let's start them both right in the middle of the screen, roughly. And we'll take the other one and just line up this dot. You can see the dot with the plus right there. Okay? So those are the beginning and out points. The next thing we need to do is adjust the speed at which this action occurs, and it's a pretty fast one. So let's do that right here. I can even maybe start a little sooner because I jump. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Let's just see. Okay, here we go. Let's watch it. I think that looks pretty good. We could even make it a little slower. Not much though, just by dragging it out a little bit. Perfect. Okay. Now remember, we set some parameters for this when we did our original touch callout, which was just the color and the size. So we want to make sure we match for this as well. So let's do that. We're going to choose the color. We're going to go to white, and we're going to choose the size, which was about 100 pixels. And the same should also be true of the end ones, which beginning and the end. We want the color to be that. We want the size to be around 100. Let's go to the end. We want that to be the same. Okay, they're definitely starting out large and getting smaller, so we need to fix that. So in order to fix that, we're going to want to select just those, show interpolated state. We want that guy to be the same 100. What I might do is stop the callout has an end state. Just start that at the 100 pixel range zone. And maybe go to 100 there. Okay, so that was 65 to 100. That's 100. Looks good. Let's go to beginning and end states. Callout has beginning and end. Let's select that. And there we go. The interpolated state is kind of neat because it basically shows you what happens in between the beginning and end. You can see that it moves out to the side there, which is really handy. All right, so if we watch, we're in pretty good shape there. Okay, so now we've got 2 successful callouts. Boom, boom. And the same thing is going to happen here. We basically want to copy this same touch callout that we just did and do it again right here because we've already done the work. So we can, what we can do is we can create our own template if we like. We can go to Actions and we can do Manage Templates. And we can actually add this action to the list. We can do, hold on, I'll go here and say Action Templates. We want to update template. We created a new action, or we can create a new template, or we can actually paste the templates. So these are the ones that we've already created. If you like the way that you did or you updated that exact one, you can update it. And now when we go to, if you used one of the original ones, we can now update that and add it again here. And this time when we add the iOS touch zoom in, it should be basically the way we want it. Might copy and paste this. Hold on. Let's try this. Edit, copy. And then insert, edit, paste. And there it is. So we can do perfect. Okay, so here we have one where it's different. Now we need the zoom out call out because we went under. So it's a slightly different action in the app. So we'll do the same thing. We can insert or go to action. Oh, hold on. Make sure you have your clip selected. Insert action, go to zoom out. And the same thing you're going to do here. So first is drag your two sets here, the beginning and the end. This is the end, this is the beginning state. The circle's the end. And going to change the size of both. Go to about 100. And then go to the other one. We go grab this guy. And grab that guy and go. There we go. All right. And then we'll take these guys. This needs to be set to all right. And then we also need to update that to be the right color. So we're going to click on that. We're going to go to color, take that over to white, and move this over to about the time that I start, which is right about here. A little late there. And maybe a little slow too. Can even do this a little bit right there and maybe make it a tad faster. Did it again there, so we need to copy and paste that. Edit, paste. And now we've got that one. That one I actually did right, so we're going to zoom, go back. We'll copy that one and paste it. A little early. Or really late, I should say. Same one there. So once you've got your actions the way you want them, it goes much faster. So spend the time it takes to get it the way you want it for the first couple, actions or touch callouts, because it'll pay off, because now you'll basically, all you're worrying about now is placement. So in this case, we dive, but we dive way too early. So we're going to take the dive and paste it there. And there we go. So we basically laid out the entire control scheme for the game, pinching and zooming. It's a really simple game, really straightforward. and then we just added one little pop in, pop out of a white circle or a touch for the play. So let's watch the whole video one time and see what we've done. And that really adds a ton of kind of dynamicness to the video. It also shows the audience exactly what I was doing when I either successfully navigated an obstacle or completely botched it. So either way, it's giving you really good visual examples. Now, if, for example, you wanted to create your own paths for things, we kind of showed you how to do that. It's pretty straightforward. Touch callouts can be totally customized to the way you want. So we can add an action here, and let's say I was, wanted to move my finger around the screen or across the screen with a swipe or something. We do have swipes you can use, but again, these templates that we have may not match what you need to do. So just keep that in mind. Most of them, the basics are covered, but you may need to change them as you can. So the first thing to do is you're going to decide whether it's just a regular kind of outline pop on screen like we did, or if it has a beginning and an end state. Okay, so if it has an end state, then at that point you'd want to, and we can move this. This is just the beginning. Let's say we wanted to move it across the screen or to the lower right, or maybe an up to down. Let's do that. So we'll start there, and we'll say it also has an end state. So we'll check the end state box here, and then we're going to, you see that second circle instantly pops on. At that point, we can now drag the end state down there. And so you can also set your curve type and so forth. So how quickly do you draw across the screen? Is it just a straight linear one, or does it have a certain type of speed? So let's just watch that. It's going to be pretty slow. This is a super slow drag across the screen from bottom to top. Similarly, we could easily click the call out. We could move the beginning piece over here and watch that. Okay, so very easy to do that way. Now, when you're in the editing phase, there's obviously a lot more that you can do. And one of the things you might want to do is whether or not animate the end, whether it has different size properties and so forth. Which I think this is part of the reason you couldn't change I couldn't change the size on the end state. If you uncheck this box, you don't necessarily have to animate the values to the end state and so forth. Whereas here, if we want to not necessarily animate the values, you still have a constant size from one end to the other. And then at this point, when you are selecting this, you may want to, again, change the color and size and so forth. Hit OK, and then you can adjust the size, and all of them should get smaller and so forth. And that's, again, if you want to simulate something getting, the spacing, the size, and so forth. I haven't played much with spacing and that kind of thing, so you try that. But you also have opacity and rotation, and if you're doing a rotation of a picture or something like that, there's a lot of different ways that you can modify or customize these. Once you have something the way you like it, you can, again, go back to the Actions menu and create a template action. Now, this only works with ones that you've made from scratch. So we could call this, you name it as however you want, but the long, slow swipe might be a good one for this one. And now, if I ever need that again, I can add it directly. It should show up on my templates at the top as a long, slow swipe. And you can re-add it in just the way you want. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And then car clone, looks like you left a comment there that says Command Shift P to preview the currently selected action. So if we have that Command-Shift-P, let's just try that. Yeah, that one's not working for me, but maybe... let's see that. So under View, you should have the ability to scroll through or hit spacebar. And then what I typically do is I'll just keep my mouse in just to the left of the action or the clip, and then when I hit play, I can just click back with my mouse button and watch how things look. Okay, so that is the basics of using iOS callouts, touch callouts for iOS recording, basically from capture to working with the actions and the templates in there. And so I encourage you to use this for your own videos and anything that you're recording on the iOS operating system that you need to show folks how you are operating those apps. It can be really handy, and again, can be easy to do. It's not difficult, and it's just a question of whether you're animating a touch call out from one spot on the screen to another. And if you're doing that over and over again, it's really easy to just create a template and repeat that, or copy and paste the last one that you did in the right spots. I hope that makes sense, and if you have any questions, just leave them there. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week. If there's any other topics you'd like to see, please leave them in the comments below, and feel free to tweet at us or with the hashtag ScreenFlowLive, and we will be sure to come back with more tips and fun things for you to do using this cool software. So we hope to see you soon, and keep screencasting. See you later.